Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had such a great time there in Dayton, Ohio at Living Word last week, and then we were in Shreveport at Life United. Had such fun meetings Wednesday through Sunday. And if tonight you can be in New Mexico, we'll be at Choose Life there in Hobbs, New Mexico. And then this weekend we'll be in Cobbs Creek, Virginia, there at Cornerstone Fellowship. We'll be there Sunday and Wednesday. We'll have a great time. So we're coming to you every week to look at the different things that point to the coming of the Lord, specifically the gathering of nations for the Ezekiel 38 war. And this week we are watching Gathering of Nations for Armageddon. It's really crazy. So each week something happens that I go, I really can't believe this is happening. So we're trying to point all things together so that we can get ready, because the rapture is signless, but the second coming has tons of signs. So if we see all these signs right in front of us of the second coming, we know we're 7 years before that the rapture will happen. So we're being inundated with one thing after another that shows that the Bible is true. I hear people go, all these signs have happened before. None, these signs have never happened before, never in one generation. I'll be doing a lot of interviews this last year for the book. And they'll go, we're fact-checking you. I could tell. I go, you're fact-checking me. And like I could make this stuff up. I said, only a God could come up with all this stuff. Remember all the 19 prophecies about the first coming of the Lord, born in Bethlehem of the tribe of Judah, given away for 35 pieces of silver, gambled over his robe, wore a crown of thorns, pierced in his side, got dark in the middle of the day while he was on the cross. I was witnessing to a guy telling him the odds of that are 480 with 33 zeros afterwards. Even in science, it's absurd to think that it happened by chance. I was witnessing to this Navy SEAL guy, and he goes, well, they read those things and they all acted them out and brought them to pass. I said, an eclipse while Jesus was on the cross at 3 in the afternoon? So if you don't want to believe, you won't believe. But we're just privileged to have all these things right in front of us. So it shows us more ammunition to hustle. So all this stuff is about a hustle mentality, not an escape theology. Well, as we see these things come to pass, just like a runner, I've never seen a runner in the race look at the finish line and go, what is this? No, they know exactly what the finish line looks like. So we have things happening every single week, and I talk about this often, that Jesus rebuked the crowd one time. He rebuked the Pharisees over and over and over again. He said, okay, to the crowd, you can tell what the weather's going to be, but you don't know your hour of visitation. So it bothered him that they were paying more attention to the weather than they were the coming of the king. So that's why we don't want to have that happen to us now. You think of Enoch prophesying of the second coming. How'd you like to have a job? What do? I prophesy about the second coming. Well, he has never been here before. You're prophesying about the second coming when the Lord's not even come. So, but it's cool. He's a good type for us. He walked with God. He was God's friend, God's spokesman, and he had a walk of faith. So you can tell when you're in faith, when you look at your joy gauge and your peace gauge. So all these signs, none of it is to scare us, it's to make us excited. I have one lady after another, after you finish a conference, come up and say, I was lied to my entire life. I was afraid of the coming of the Lord. And this should be the funnest thing ever for us. We're going to go from faith to sight. We should be so excited. People should tell us to break that pill in half. Whatever you're on, take it down a notch, because you're way too excited. So wonderful things happening. So let's kind of go down through the list. We'll start with Israel first. You had Benjamin Netanyahu come into the States the last couple of days, meeting with President Trump, going over really what to do with Gaza, because Hamas still ignores some kind of a peace program and any kind of a thought pattern to get the hostages gotten back to us. So it's weird that they're continuing to do that, to the point that this last week, Israel hit 100 terror sites in Gaza, still hitting missile factories, hitting infrastructure, things for holding missiles. And 100 this last week in Gaza. With all this happening, they won't respond to all the thought patterns for a peace agreement at all. And they keep pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off. They used to say this about the Palestinians. The Palestinians never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. Well, Israel keeps reaching out to them. America keeps reaching out to them. I even heard something today from Tony Blair, which was the Prime Minister of the UK. This is something that I said many times. He said what we should do was help Gaza build golf courses and resorts on the water. They got resort property, and what are they doing? Building missiles. In Qatar or the Arab Emirates, they build massive resorts right there on the water. What's the Palestinians do? Build tunnels so they can try to annihilate Israel. So bizarre. And it looks like the big push from going ahead and recognizing a Palestinian state is going to be for Jordan, for the Gaza Strip to be literally managed by Jordan, Egypt, and a couple other states. So they think they should probably be able to do that. So these are just days of great radical change. I mean, one thing after another are heading up to this. Something else happened this last week that I just was like, okay, we're going from this, like I said at the opening, we're going from the signs of the battle of the Ezekiel 38 war to the battle of Armageddon. Listen what the head of the UN said this week. This is the head of the UN said, listen what's about to happen. He said, Taiwan's about to be invaded by China, and China is going to look to Russia for help. And they're going to look to Russia for help by invading Europe. So they said they're going to both invade Taiwan together, and then Russia is going to invade Europe to keep everybody's minds off of Taiwan. So then you have the players of the Battle of Armageddon coming together, and this is the head of the UN. So just intriguing number of things happening like that to point to the Battle of Armageddon. So my friend, this is it. We used to think, well, are we getting close with all the nations doing what they're doing? We're getting close to the coming of the Lord. It's absolutely radical. Needless to say, you had Russia. Russia was firing at German airplanes with lasers this last week. We're talking about new technologies being tried out over the Red Sea. So America fired at the Houthis in Yemen this last week. Israel did 3 different days where they fired at the Houthis in Yemen. I mean, one of the times they took out missile batteries, they took out some stockpiles of missiles, and then America hit 3 different ports in Yemen. So you still got the people around Israel doing what the Bible said they would do, and that's getting ready for a confrontation or for war. So it's remarkable. What does it tell us? We should help our local church, help our local pastor, that this is it, man. Jesus is just about to come back. How exciting. So we always go to the Word. Let's look at the signs. The signs aren't there to scare us. The signs are there to show us how close we are to our destination. Number 1, we talk about it every week. Israel regathered in our lifetime. Wow, the fig tree budding. Think about it. Israel regathered right after Hitler killed 6 million Jews, 1948. We could talk about that forever. And then Jerusalem won back in 1967. What a huge deal. Jesus said when those 2 events happen, that's the generation that he's coming back. So we're it. I say it oftentimes when I'm preaching in churches, tag you're it. People go, I don't believe this. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It's happening. So those 2 signs. But then you got the Hebrew language restored. You got the Ethiopian Jews brought back. You got the fertility of the land of Israel. You got the revival of the Roman Empire. You have foxes showing up on the Temple Mount. You had fish in the Dead Sea. You had the Dead Sea turned blood red where Sodom and Gomorrah was on the Day of Atonement last fall. That's amazing. You have the ritual baths around the Temple Mount fill up with water, first time in 2,000 years. You have predatory birds, 172 different species of predatory birds started showing up on the land. That's radical. I mean, you have the cleanup crew in Israel right now. So you have the Temple Mount Institute that's ready. Now, this has been kind of crazy because they elected basically a high priest to do this. And now some of the other groups, not just the Temple Mount area, but the Hasidic Jews are ready for Temple Mount worship. That was the first thing I read today, was all the stuff about the temple, all the other groups coming together, not just one group. So, I mean, the one group did get the red heifers. They brought them over as service animals, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, the amazing thing about that, they didn't have their ears clipped because of COVID, and they were clean, and they've got to be used between the year 2 and 3, and that's how old they are right now. So that should tell us they're ready. They got them out at Shiloh. So, man, there's all these things that coming together. You had Russia rebuild the archway for Baal worship in Palmyra. The Talmud says that's the last sign you'll see before the Messiah comes. You have men will be lovers themselves. We have selfie sticks. You go from signs to signals. You had 4 blood red moons in a row. NASA calls it a tetrad. When's the last time you had 4 blood red moons in a row? Basically, on Passover and Tabernacles, the heavens are going, I died for you, coming back. Died for you, coming back. When's the last time you had that happen 4 in a row like that? 1967, when Jerusalem was won back. 1948, when Israel was made a nation. 1492, at the Edict of Expulsion, when the Jews were kicked out of Spain. So remarkable. And then you have more signals. The Bible says the planets would be for signals for us. Then you had, at the birth of Jesus, you had Jupiter, a king planet, Regulus, a king planet, Venus, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You had 3 of those come together. What was the constellation? Virgo, born of a virgin. This last year, you had that celestial event, Jupiter, Regulus, Venus coming together again. First time in 2,000 years. What was the constellation? Leo. He's the lion of the tribe of Judah. So, Man, everything is happening right now that we expect to see before the coming of the Lord. I hear people all the time going, "Oh, we've had all these signs before." No, we've never had these signs before. And then you hear them doing just what Peter said. There'd be scoffers in the last days going, we've been hearing this all of our life. The reason why you've been hearing this all your life is because you're living in the generation that the King is coming back. So what do? Let's be more soul winners. Let's be kinder. Let's have more fruit. Not just the power of the Spirit, but the fruit of the Spirit. Have them combined to show people Jesus' true personality. The whole thing is right now, he wants to show people that he was raised from the dead. He wants to demonstrate how much he loves them. And that's why he raised you up. You have been raised up to be a voice and a witness to get the earth ready for the second coming of the King. Wow, what a job to be a mouthpiece that God wants to use you. So walk in your authority, walk in your boldness, be daring and bold, walk with God, speak for God, minister for him, and do what you're called to do. We'll come back next week and we'll look and see if Russia's hitting more planes with lasers, if China is talking Russian to invade at the same time with Taiwan. Crazy. The Lord's about to come back. Have a blessed, wonderful week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the edu at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.